Hey there, I'm Jo Pronger Boone, and I publish using my maiden name, Jo Pronger Faulkner. I'm here today with Roxane Archer to talk about our book collaboration called Absolute Vision, which was released in December 2022. Welcome, Roxane.
Thank you for having me today.
So for those who might not know, this is the second collaboration in the Absolute series. The first one was Absolute Will, published in 2021, which was a mutual friend of ours wrote a chapter in that. And through her, I was able to meet and connect with Roxane. And now here we are in Absolute Vision together. So I'm thrilled with the stories that we have in this book, and the incredible rankings on Amazon since this book's release have been absolutely mind-blowing. We have 21 authors in Absolute Vision: Roxane, me, and 19 other amazing men and women from 6 countries around the world. Our authors are from Canada, the United States, South Africa, the United Kingdom, Nicaragua, and Bulgaria, and we teamed up to share our motivational, personal, true stories of achieving our vision and intentionally creating an extraordinary life against all odds. Now, this book has only been out for about a month now, and in this short time period, we racked up 55 #1 rankings on Amazon. It's been quite the joyride for our authors. We've ranked as #1 bestseller in 10 categories in Canada and the US, and #1 new release in 45 categories in Canada, the US, and the Netherlands. And we also got 2 of the coveted orange Amazon bestseller badges, which are really hard to get. Now, many of the men and women in this book have never published anything before and can now call themselves international best-selling authors. This collaboration was also created as an epic fundraiser as well. 100% of the profits from the author entry fees to be in the book, and 100% of the royalties through our launch are going towards a project that my husband Mike and I are doing. We're building a house for a family in Nicaragua who didn't have a home of their own. So we actually went to Nicaragua in January of 2022 to break ground on this life-changing project. And as of right now, 1 year later, the house is about 2/3 of the way complete. This book is self-published and self-promoted by all of our authors, not done through a traditional publisher and not using any paid ads. It's been an organic grassroots effort by each of us, which makes what we've done with it all the more incredible. The reviews that have started to come in say that these stories are incredibly inspiring. The stories demonstrate absolutely astounding vision, that they are awe-inspiring, full of hope. They show how to achieve in light of challenges, and this is a must read. These are all direct quotes from the reviews on Amazon. Roxane's chapter is called My Big, Beautiful, Bodacious Life, Chapter 21 in Absolute Vision. Thanks for being here, Roxane.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Jo.
So can you tell everyone a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what your chapter in Absolute Vision is about?
All right. Well, obviously, you guys, Jo introduced me. So my name is Roxane Archer, and I am in a small town in British Columbia. Our little town is nestled amongst some mountains and on a lake. So it's pretty nice to be here. It was actually where I was born and raised. Now, I moved away for a while. And I moved to Calgary to continue my education in school, and then later on in years, I actually moved to Winnipeg for a while. Lived in Manitoba, but the winters were way too cold there for me. So I find myself back in BC. I've actually moved back to my hometown because, you know, family is really, really important to me, and I wanted to come back to be closer to my family. I'd been away from them for several decades. My dad is aging, so I wanted my son to be a little closer to his grandpa and just get to know, you know, the amazing man that his grandpa is before he leaves this earth, right? It happens to all of us. And just the ties that I have in this small town. My family actually goes back over 100 years in this town. So that's like super cool. So it's
cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice to be back. It's a little weird to move back to your hometown in a way, but I'm getting used to being back. Lots has changed since I used to live here, so it's exciting, you know. So and I've got to travel lots in my life and experience lots of things, so it's kind of nice just to come back and be in a smaller environment as opposed to the hustle bustle of the cities. Yeah, so, you know, and my chapter in this book is, well, it's a lot about family, right? Like I said, family is really important to me, and just knowing the importance of having them in your life, because we don't know what tomorrow has in store for us. And so my chapter was about my story, about, you know, grief and the process of it and what it can do to your mindset and stuff. I've had a lot of tragedies. I've lost a lot of family members, you know, my young niece and my own daughter, right? And so many other family members along the way. So I talk about that through the book, because, you know, sometimes our story can feel like our normal, right? That it's just my life, right? But when I talk to other people and I kind of share a little bit about it, I found that it's inspirational, right? We may not think that we're inspirational, but when we talk to other people, we find that we are. So I kind of just took those thoughts of how I got through that journey, right? How I dealt with grief, you know, and just seeing the beauty in the dark, in our darkest hours in our life, and just kind of overcoming that. And I wanted to share that with people. I wanted to share that no matter what happens or the obstacles in your life, that you can still go and live this amazing life, and you can find the beauty in amongst all that pain. And I really just hope that when people read the chapter, that it inspires them to know that, you know what, no matter what you're going through, maybe it's not grief, maybe it's something else, but if we can put a little bit different of a perspective on things, you know, it makes it a little bit easier to get through it. It might not take away the pain, because you can't take away that pain, especially grief. You really have to go through the storm to get to the other side. But if you can have a different, if you can have a different perspective in the back of your mind, and in regards to how you're going to deal with that situation, it definitely makes you come through a better person, I think.
Absolutely. So powerful. And the, you know, the different scenarios that you talk about in your chapter that you've been through in your life, it's not just kind of one or two things. Like, it's been this, you know, several different, you know, many different experiences that you've had that have, you know, you've had to get through with your grief and then figure that out. And the insights that you put into your chapter, I think, are just so inspirational and uplifting for people, despite all of the tragedy that you've been through.
Yeah, I think that you can, yes, like some people can look at my life and they're like, oh my goodness, like, you know, you've had so much tragedy and you've lost so many people. And yeah, that's true, but I'm still an incredibly happy person, you know, and I always try to take the positive out of everything. Of course, we all can have negative thoughts and we're all going to go down certain paths, right? I'm not saying that I'm always like that, but overall, I just love my life. And if I was to go back, in all honesty, the way I view life, I wouldn't change anything. I don't really have a lot of regrets. I find regret is a wasted emotion. You know, so I wouldn't change it, because it's made me who I am today. If I wouldn't have gone through all that and it wouldn't happen to me, who knows who I'd have been, you know? So I think sometimes life experiences, it just makes us a better person.
So true. So when you first found out about this collaboration, what made you decide to join in?
Well, when you first asked me, Joe, I was like, no, I'm way too busy. It sounds interesting, but no, I don't have time for this. So I kind of put you off for a while. But in the back of my head, it was something that I was really honored that you had asked me to be in the book and share my story. Because like I said, you know, sometimes we just think, I'm like, what am I going to write? Like, what am I going to share? I don't know. Like, it's my story. And I don't know if anyone else wants to even hear about it. Right. But in the back of my head, I knew that it was going to be an amazing experience, because I have always been told by many people, you should write a book, Roxane. You know, for years, people have been telling me this. And I used to always joke with my friends and say, one day I am going to write a book. Right. I thought years ago I was actually going to title it "I'm the Funniest Person I Know." But anyway, that's just a joke I had with them. Right? Nobody else gets my weird sense of humor sometimes. But so I thought that I thought that this would be a great experience into getting into that, right? So then when I do go off and write my own book one day, hopefully I'll just put that out there now, that maybe I have a little bit more insight into how it all works. And then of course, because it was for a fundraiser and an amazing cause that you and Mike are doing, that I just, you know, I always love to give back at any chance that I can I can get to, to improve someone else's life, or just make an impact on people's lives. So that was the fundraising part of it was huge for me.
That's awesome. Now, so writing seems to bring out different experiences for different people. So did you find writing the chapter sort of like straightforward, easy, or was it more difficult than you'd imagined?
It was definitely more difficult than I imagined, right? Obviously, we all have that story to tell inside of us, but getting it on paper was a bigger struggle than I thought. I talk quite a bit. I train people. I talk on Zoom all the time. I've even done public speaking. So I found, that I'm much better at talking about stuff and telling a story through verbally than I am actually to write it on paper. But thank goodness that you were there, Joe, to kind of lead me along the way and kind of coach me on how to get the proper words on paper where it makes sense and you're not just rambling. So it was an amazing experience. And it was a healing experience. There was a lot of emotions that came up as I wrote it. And there was some tears as I wrote the chapter, right? Because you're just reliving some stuff. And
was that surprising to you to be kind of feeling like you were reliving it, or was that something that you expected would probably happen?
No, I expected it. I kind of did, because I just think that when you want to express your words to people, and when you're writing it down, if you really put your heart and soul into it, it's going to bring up those emotions inside of you. And so I expected it was going to happen that way, because that's how you're going to get, an impactful story is to put your emotions when you're, out there. So but then I was actually shocked by some of it and how much I healed just from recent events that have happened to me, that I talked about in the book in regards to my mom. But that sort of relived a little bit, because that's a little bit newer of a situation that I'm going through. So that was newer emotions, but at the same time, I think I healed a little bit more from putting it down on paper.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So powerful. And the insights that you had in that part of your chapter that you talk about are there. Yeah, it was incredible just to read what you had written and be able to feel that emotion in there, and to see, to understand what you've gleaned from that experience. I love your chapter. It's so powerful.
Thank you. Yeah. Like when that's what you want to come across. And so I think the tears were expected, because if you're going to pour emotion into something, you have to be emotional to write it down. So you kind of have to get back into that space to make it clear to the reader what you're trying to get across. But I do thank you for all the work that you did in it to help me write this chapter. And I know that all the other authors also, you probably put just as much time and effort into them, and we're so grateful for you in it. And it made the experience even better.
That's awesome. And I'm happy to do that, just because it makes the book better, but also it makes your experience better too. So I love being able to give this experience to you and to the other authors, and to have them be able to share their stories and get it out in such a way that you're proud of it. I mean, it's a difficult story to tell. And yet I also, I've wanted everyone to be proud of what they're putting out there to the world, because a book, like, once you publish, it's out there forever, right? The whole world gets to read your story.
There's no backspace button and edit and delete.
No. So yeah, so as hard as it is, and the healing journey that you've gone on, I just love having done this with you. I just think it's been an amazing experience for me as well.
Awesome. That's great to know.
So you've already hinted that you want to write your own book in the future. And do you think that maybe you'll be in another collaboration at some point as well? Like, is it's kind of the writing bug has gotten to you, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think so. Yeah. Like, I would do another collaboration if I felt I had something to contribute. Right. Absolutely. And yeah, I do think that, well, I actually have part of the book written. I've been working on it for years. I just haven't put it all together. But yeah, so I think that absolutely is in my future, especially since going through this journey and just sort of learning a little bit more about it. Definitely, I think that's in my future.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your top piece of advice for someone who might be thinking that they want to become a published author?
I would say just do it. If it's something that you want, I think that the biggest thing that stops us in life from doing anything that we want to do is fear, right? We think, oh, we don't know how to do it, or, I don't have a good story to tell. Who's going to read it? Are people going to think it's corny? Or are they going to like what I did? All of these things and that little voice inside of our head that stops us from doing it. But if it's something that you think that you've always wanted to do, or give it a shot, just do it. Get out of your comfort zone and take the leap, because at the end, I think you'll be so proud of yourself. And then, for other people to come up, even if you just touch one or two people's lives with some inspiration, right? Or make them laugh, depending what your story is about, you've done a great job.
I love that. Absolutely. So what else are you doing, and what is next for you?
Oh, well, my life is crazy busy. So, when you say another collaboration, I'm like, I'm not sure I have time these days for that, but because it did take some time. But I'm busy. I own a financial brokerage company. So I'm, constantly busy with that. I'm training teammates, mentoring them, showing people how they can be business owners in the financial agent industry. So that keeps me pretty busy. I'm a mom of a beautiful 14-year-old son. So teenagers, right? That's a fun age. I say that loosely, but so he keeps me pretty busy and on my toes. You think that when they're toddlers, but no, it's teenage years too. And then I have a beautiful stepdaughter who's in Manitoba, so just trying to visit with her and stuff like that. But so yeah, I'm just busy with life, really, and I can't wait for what the future has in store, for all of us. But I just am always looking forward. I have huge goals, grow my business bigger, help people change their lives and get them growing their business so they can be successful. One of the biggest things I love in life is just watching other people succeed and change their life. So that kind of keeps me going, and just being the best mom I can be, and, navigating through this crazy world we have.
That's awesome. And for those who would love to connect with you, please share your website or social media handles, or how else they can get in touch with you.
So I usually keep things pretty simple. I just go with my name. So on Instagram, it's just Roxane Archer, and Roxane is with one N. So if you have the book, you'll see how to spell my name. Everyone wants to spell it with two, but it really only has one N in it. So it does keep it simple when you're doing the social media handle, because, well, no one else has one N in their name. So on Instagram, it's Roxane Archer, and a website it's roxanearcher.com. And then I do have a website called Mindset and Money Rocks, and it's ROX at the end. So that I'm just creating that right now. So that's fun and exciting. Social media is always a bit of my challenge. It's not my strength, but I'm learning and getting better with it. So, but yeah, you can definitely connect with me through Instagram.
I love that. Roxane, I am in awe of your perspective and your insights through this chapter, and how you live your everyday life, which is such positivity and passion and ambition. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and so honored that you chose to share your inspirational story in Absolute Vision. So thank you for that, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here.